You can be lying next to the person you love and still feel completely alone. Not because there is cruelty in the relationship, not because there is hate, but because somewhere along the way, the relationship lost emotional contact. And that kind of loneliness is the one that causes you to lie awake at night and feel numb inside, because your needs are not being met. Welcome to Loved Without Losing Yourself. This is for the woman who is capable and high functioning on the outside, but inside she is emotionally tired in a way she can't always explain. Today's episode is called Alone Next to You, and we are talking about emotional loneliness inside a relationship, the kind you can't easily name because you still share a bed. You still talk about the kids. You still run life together, but you don't feel met. You don't feel held. You don't feel with. You don't feel emotionally accompanied. First, I would like to define what emotional loneliness is. Emotional loneliness isn't I have no one. It's more like along the lines, I have someone, but I don't feel emotionally connected to them. It's being listened to by someone, talking to someone without really being met, being around each other without being with each other. And it can happen in relationships that are good on paper, because there is no drama, no cheating, no obvious deal breakers, just a gap that is getting wider as time passes by. And the scary part is that you can get used to that gap. You can normalize it. And this gap feels like you are not chosen unless you initiate. You are not held unless you ask. You are not considered unless you remind. You are not pursued unless you perform in some way. And if you've been carrying that for long enough, your predominant thoughts become, why bother? And you stop reaching, because reaching starts to feel like rejection. And it's so painful to feel rejected. And nobody wants to feel that pain. So you protect yourself the only way you know how. You get quieter, you get more fine. I want us to explore why this hurts so much. This type of loneliness hurts because, first of all, it's confusing. If you were single, at least the loneliness will make sense. You have no one to turn to. You have no one to talk to. But here, you are together. So when you feel alone, your mind turns inward. And you may think, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I need too much. Maybe I am ungrateful. Maybe this is just what relationships become. And I want to be very clear on the following points, because it is very important to understand that you are not needy for wanting emotional contact. You are not demanding for wanting tenderness. You are not wrong for wanting to feel chosen by the person you've built a life with. This is a basic human need, and you have every right to crave it. You are not asking for more. You are asking for what makes love feel safe inside your body. I want to stress out the fact that loneliness isn't a communication problem. Most women try to fix this by communicating better. So what they end up doing is to try to use softer words or try to time it perfectly so they can say what they want. In a way, they prepare a speech and they try not to sound like they are complaining. But no matter how much you try to create the perfect speech, loneliness is not going to be fixed by the right sentence. Loneliness is repaired by emotional contact. And emotional contact requires risk. Contact means you have to bring something real. And it's not a complaint. And certainly is not a list. Not even a we need to talk. It's something honest. And honesty is vulnerable. And because many of us see vulnerability as weakness, we choose instead to stay functional. We choose to stay in control. We choose to stay fine. And that's why the relationship stays polite and distant, safe but starving. So let's explore the actual problem that causes this loneliness. There are 4 roots of emotional loneliness in a relationship. Root number 1, you stop bringing your real self. And you didn't end up here intentionally. It happened slowly. It started when you began editing, when you shared the updates but not the pain, when you shared the logistics and not the longing, when you shared the pain and not the truth. Because at some point you decided that it felt safer to be low need than to be disappointed. And this is when you end up becoming pleasant, efficient, agreeable. And maybe you chose to show your support with your silence, or you decided that being a strong woman meant that you didn't bother your partner with your true needs. And then, after some time, you realize that you have changed. You are not feeling happy, fulfilled, or satisfied. And the worst part is that you can't even explain what's missing. You just know it is. And if your real self isn't present, it can't be met. Root number 2, the relationship became a management system. This is the functional partnership trap. You run the household, you run the kids, you run the work schedules, you run the food, you run the responsibilities, and without noticing, you become co-managers. You talk about what needs to be done, who's picking up who, what bills are due, what's happening this weekend, but you avoid to talk about what you miss, what you need, what you are scared to admit, what you crave, what would make you feel close again. So the relationship stays operational and emotionally empty. It's teamwork, not tenderness, not closeness. Root number 3, you reached out and it didn't land, so you shut down. This one matters because you tried to reach and maybe you said, I am not okay, and got solutions instead of comfort. Maybe you asked for time and got, I'm tired. Maybe you tried to share something vulnerable and it turned into an argument or a joke or even worse, silence. So you decided to protect yourself and your feelings by making the decision to stop reaching because it costs too much. And this is not because you don't love them, but because you don't want to keep bleeding in small, invisible ways. And this is why you stop initiating, you stop asking, you stop trying. And the loneliness deepens. And the last root number 4, you started performing for closeness. This is the most painful one because it's subtle. You begin to think, if I am easier, I will get closeness. If I am calmer, I will get tenderness. If I look better, I will feel chosen. If I don't ask for much, we will be okay. And here is when you try to earn intimacy, and this is a big mistake because intimacy can't be earned. It can only be met. And when closeness becomes something you have to do right, you don't feel loved. You feel evaluated. And your relationship becomes a place you audition in. Instead of a place you rest, you feel safe. Here's the distinction I want to take with you. Emotional loneliness is a contact problem, not a love problem. You can love each other and still have no contact. You can be loyal and still feel alone. You can be committed and still feel emotionally starved. So the question here isn't, do we love each other? The question is, do I feel emotionally met here? And if the answer is no, the first thing you need to do is to stop pretending it doesn't matter. The longer you pretend, the more you disappointed. I want to give you something simple to try this week. A micro practice, the 30-second contact move. Pick one neutral moment this week. So you don't pick it during an argument, of course, and not if you're already triggered. Then say one clean truth plus one clean ask. And let me give you some example to make this more understandable. I miss you. Can we sit together for 10 minutes tonight without our phones present just to feel closer? Another one. I've been feeling alone even though we are together. I just want you with me for half an hour. Can we do that? Can I have a hug that lasts a little longer than usual? I need to feel you. And then, this is the important part. Don't explain it to death. Don't add the history. Don't attach the list of evidence. Don't turn it into a case. One truth, one ask, and then pause. That's it. And let me normalize what might happen when you try this. You might feel awkward. You might feel exposed, almost like you are doing something you are not allowed to do. Because for many women, the moment you ask for closeness, your system reads it as a risk. And then there is the possibility that their response might not be perfect. If they meet you, stay there for a second. Let your body register. This is what contact feels like. And if they don't meet you, don't collapse into, see, I knew it. One moment doesn't define your relationship. It gives you information. And information is power because it brings you back to reality. But here's the distinction I want you to keep. Contact is not chasing. Contact is one clean reach. One truth, one ask, then pause. Chasing is when you start negotiating for tenderness, over-explaining your needs, softening the truth so they won't feel bad, performing that you are okay so you don't get rejected. This week, the win isn't a perfect response from them. The win is you stop abandoning yourself in the moment you want closeness. That is where emotional loneliness really starts to shift. It starts when you stop making your need for connection wrong, and when you start treating it like truth, and you let yourself take up emotional space again. If this episode touched something tender, please understand that it's never a matter of asking for too much. You're asking for emotional contact in the relationship you're giving your life to. And if you've been lonely for a long time, it can be exhausting. Emotional loneliness doesn't only hurt your heart, it drains your nervous system. It makes you stop reaching. It makes you cope. It makes you go quiet or sharp or numb. And then you tell yourself you're fine so you can keep surviving. So if you've been carrying that, I don't want you to leave this episode feeling like you are to blame. I want you to live with one truth. You can love someone and still need more emotional contact. And you're allowed to ask for that without losing yourself. You're allowed to want to feel chosen, not just tolerated. If you want the next step, take the burnout assessment linked in the show notes, because sometimes what feels like a relationship issue is also nervous system depletion. And when you are depleted, connection feels harder than it should. And if you want personal support to break the pattern, go ahead and book a research session with me. The link is in the show notes. We will pinpoint where you are abandoning yourself, what it's costing you, and the one boundary or request that brings you back to you. I will see you next week.